This is Business Banter by the Basin. I'm Shani Taylor, Global Coach of the Year, as presented by the Duchess of York.
And I'm George Matter. I'm CEO of Lab Group Australia. I'm 24 years old, and we have a group of 5 brands, 5 hair and beauty brands around the country.
George, let's talk about the worst and the best of 2025.
I am so glad that this was the first topic today.
You look like crap, by the way.
Thank you so much.
So just for our listeners, let's just give some context.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, thanks. Just for context, it's the 23rd of December. We are recording. I'm dressed in green like a Christmas tree because we're 2 days out. And George,
It's in a bun because we're about to do it after this.
my hair's up because it's out of control. And of course, every time we sit down to record, we then do my hair afterwards. George is exhausted.
Just to give you some context, in the last 72 hours, 5 hours of that has been sleep.
Yeah.
And so thriving isn't a word that I would use to describe myself as of current.
So that aside, because happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah and all of that.
Yeah, all the.
Let's do the year in review. And let's start with the worst
The
thing.
year is Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
This is my Spotify Wrapped.
Okay. What's like your top 3 worst things that happened this year?
Worst.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, hold your mic.
Excuse me. Damn.
Come on.
Okay. Are we talking just work or just in life in general?
Yeah, in general. Do you know your...
Worst thing, I took on a mortgage.
That's the worst thing?
No, it's not the worst thing, but I guess for some it is. No, I think the worst thing this year was I guess the best and the worst thing is the amount of stuff I had on. I guess. I think just everything that could have been spread over maybe 5 years came in about 18 months.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
What?
Like, of course, you're not going to take 5 years to get
course,
stuff.
because I'm a psychopath. But
Yeah.
I think that was probably the worst, but the best thing at the same time. It's just been a very long year, as we can tell. It's been a very, very, very long year.
But like, what's the standout? Like getting a mortgage? Seriously, there's got to be. Let me tell you mine, because I've always got juicy stories.
Something juicy.
Seriously though, the first half of the year absolutely rocked me. So it was just like snowball after snowball of betrayal. So at the
Oh, okay, yeah. Wait,
I had but it was like,
I was like, actually, yeah, I do know.
it's one thing after another. So at the start of the year, I'd been working with a coach for like 12 months, and it was like a mindset and emotional coach. So there's like a deep sense and like working on a lot of trauma and stuff like that, because, you're never done with your trauma. And I'd been working with him for 12 months. And then at the start of the year, he betrayed my trust significantly. Like we had, without kind of going into details, but he was really clear on what my boundaries were around my business and him publicly getting involved with my business. And, and he crossed those boundaries, because for me, by the way, so I'm happy to share who I coach with, except when it comes to my mindset and my emotional coaching. It's personal, and I don't want my client... Every leader deserves a space that is just for them, that is nobody else's business. And for me, that's the mindset coach that I work with, right? So I share all of my other coaches, but not that one.
Well, at the end of the day, your business is the business. You're not the business. That's in the sense of you're in your own... From a personal point of view.
Yeah, right. So I was like, my boundaries are, this is a very private relationship. I was very clear about that at the beginning. He had agreed to that. And then, he betrayed that trust. Shortly thereafter, and I mean like a week later, one of my long-standing clients who had been with me for like 2.5, 3 years, she was in my highest level container, worked one-on-one with me. I considered her to be family. Did a complete 180. And went from being like my biggest supporter to one of my biggest haters, and publicly bad-mouthing me.
I do know this story.
At any chance that she could. So then there was that. And then there was the boyfriend who turns out was just using me for money. And when I said that I wasn't going to financially support him, literally a day later, he left me in the country.
I know what was the worst part of my year, being somehow in the middle of it. There we go. That's a standout.
And then 2 weeks after that, I find out that my business manager was trying to do fraudulent stuff in my business behind my back. So we get to the middle of the year.
Now June.
Now June. And there was
Was that really the first half of the year?
that was the first half of my year.
I swear to God, that was 3 months ago.
I know.
Really?
Yeah. So that's the first half of the year.
24, ladies and gentlemen.
All of the sudden, because it's like 4 of the closest people, right? A close client, a mentor, a boyfriend, and then my business manager. I really was like, who the heck can I trust if I can't trust the people that are supposed to be closest to me? But I think the biggest thing, the hardest thing about all of that was I actually was then doubting that I could trust myself because I'd chosen these people, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot, like over the first half of the year, a lot shut down. My clients left and I wasn't trying to bring new people in because subconsciously I was like, everybody can stay the hell away from me.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I was like, it took me ages to get a new mentor because then I also was like, I can't even trust a mentor.
Well, it's almost the feeling of I'm actually just safer alone because
100%.
the closest to me aren't safe.
I'm not safe to pick the right people. But here's the insight that I had literally yesterday because I was writing a post about this and then I was reflecting and I was like, hang on a minute. I can trust me. The reason that it was like burn after burn was actually because I keep my heart open and I keep trusting people. And that's 4 people that burn me out of hundreds which leads me to the best part of the year. 4 significant people totally let me down. But in the second half of the year, I found an incredible mentor who has just done wonders for me in terms of continuing to move stuff out of the way for me to go on to have my biggest year in business, double my client base.
Wow.
We've got clients, we went from clients in 19 countries to 24. I've got high...
Wow, and that's in 1 year.
That's in 6 months. Yeah.
Damn.
I've got...
So don't call a global business coach of the year.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, one global business coach of the year. Okay. No, that was in the second half of the year.
Oh my God, I thought you meant again. I was going to say, Shani, hold on. Damn.
Right.
Just wrote the bio. I'll write it again.
Ended up being put on stage multiple times by the biggest promoter in the world that puts Tony Robbins on stage. Have done, financially the biggest year. Spoken on stage with celebrities, Hugh Hilton,
You've had
Liz Hurley, Vince Vaughn.
Insane.
Like this year has been incredible. So here's the thing. The first half of the year was literally like cleaning out all of the crap.
Oh, yeah.
In order to rebuild into literally what's been one of the best years of my life.
Okay.
Over to you in the studio.
Thank you so much. I have something that links back into that. And we've spoken about this before. Now, I think why it's a bit hard for me to kind of think about the worst things that about this year, that I've had a lot of good stuff happen, right? I got engaged late last year, so I've kind of had planning a wedding, we bought a home, like we're renovating the house, my business has been doing really well. So it's from looking at it from kind of far enough away, you kind of look at it and go, how can anything be wrong? I think for me, it was, 2 things. One thing that we've spoken about was it's been a very hard year from the point of view of a customer service perspective. I've noticed, and we've spoken about this, how I think everyone's really starting to feel it this year, just everything. And it's really translated into people's attitudes to customer service workers. And this isn't like not trying to bag anyone out or anything, but it's just the reality of it. I've noticed I've worked customer service pretty much my whole life. Like, not my whole life, but my whole working life, you know?
Yeah.
So having, like, that's definitely been really hard. But I think as you were saying that, as you're kind of wrapping up what you were saying there, you got rid of 4 very significant, very big parts of your life, right? But then you do that in 6 months, and then the next 6 months after, you leveled up.
In a massive way.
And you told me this. This is something that you told me when I was saying, I don't know what it is, but I feel like every time it's never a conversation with the client anymore. There's always a lot of kickback with anything really, right? And you said it very simply, and I went, oh, you're right. There is a point in a business where you just kind of take that next step up. And I think that's these last few months, while it has been obviously getting into Christmas, which means it already is just harder, plus that on top of it, I'm kind of going, you know what? I'm finding myself going, that is going to be really difficult, but that is okay because we're taking another step, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that ties into that into what you were saying. From another perspective, the hardest thing this year, I have to say, not so much from a business or work perspective, but I think from a mental health perspective, I've noticed it more this year. I'm always a pretty high spirits person. I deal really, really well with stress. I think I put too much on my plate this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
As a business owner, I know I always say if you've got nothing to do, then you're not busy enough.
Yeah.
Or if you've got free time, you're not busy enough. And part of me kind of, I get that. But I think there is a point where you kind of say, hey, like that's maybe pull back when you've got work and so much going on in a personal life. But I think there is a point where you kind of have to say, don't completely run yourself dry.
So what are you learning from that you're going to take into 2025 then?
To go into things with a little bit more of a plan.
Okay.
Right. And
I think it's a challenge for ADHDs as well, right? Because the brain goes a million miles an hour.
And my entire business has always been
last minute. I got
conception one day.
Yeah.
It started the next day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's always worked for me. And I've always used it as my superpower. But I think that's fine and everything when business is the biggest thing when your business is the biggest thing you've got going on in your life. But when you've got other really big things going on as well.
Like planning a wedding.
And building a house.
And building a house.
1,001 other things, right? And then on top of it, it just has been, I think we can all agree, it's been an odd year. It's been a rough.
I don't know, but I feel like people say this at the end of every year. Like the amount of posts that I'm seeing about, oh my God, 2024 really kicked my butt, this and that. And I'm like, by the way, I don't even, let's just flow. Like the fact that we even think about, now it's another new year. No, it's just another day. Like just keep moving. Like, I think people just want to, new year, new me and all of that crap.
Okay. Okay. It's never going to be a new me. You always get the same me. You're never going to get anything new. It's just here. Okay. And you've just got to accept it.
What's the best thing that's happened?
The best thing that's happened this year, Jesus, what? My business has, we are 200, as of right now, we've got today, the rest of today and tomorrow is the last trading day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We have gone 272 point something % above last year, which is our first year. So
that last year was your first year. You've gone 272%.
Yeah, what's that? 1.72 times. 1.72 times.
Yeah, don't eat it. Yeah.
Is that 1.72?
I don't know. Whatever. But that's incredible.
Anyway, so so that's been a very big thing. Bought a house, which is more on the personal side. This podcast has been a very big thing. I love doing this. I do look forward to these days.
Yeah.
We have a new brand opening next year. I don't think you know.
No, you'll have to tell me at the Basin shortly.
Clinic.
Uh-huh.
So I've been working on that. Yeah. There's been a lot of good stuff.
Of course it has.
Stuff. It's just the good stuff come with a lot of work, and I do like that.
Okay, so I think what we're hearing is two things out of this conversation. Number one, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So for those of you listening, and it's like, because we like to have some banter and we like to have some fun, but we also like to have the lessons. Yeah. So I'm hearing your lesson, George, is about proper planning.
Yes.
And just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And I'd like to finish off with my lesson, which is get better, not bitter. The end.
I think we got that. That was a good one. I like that.
And Shani, where can they find you?
Insta or Facebook at Shani Taylor Official with the blue tick. And what about you?
You can find me on Instagram at George Mastar Official. That's MATTAR, and you can find all our other links in the show notes.